Welcome, everyone. It's the Mike Tech Show, show number 990. Tonight, it's all listener emails. Uh, even the end, they're emails with a Windows Update problem, but it's really an email from a client. So, going to talk about travel routers that I mentioned last week, and you came through, got a lot of listener feedback, and going to spend a lot of time on that. Then John sent me a link, and this is for adding the weather in as a calendar in Outlook as an add-in. So now let's get at it. First, I want to remind everybody of the email that Kate sent me where she's looking for a recommendation for a travel router. And man, do we have a lot of options. And I'm thinking, yes, it's features, but it's also price, because we have very inexpensive all the way to, you want to drop a few coins on this. And she doesn't need a hotspot, but she needs to be able to manage multiple laptops, a tablet, maybe a couple phones in a hotel that provides Wi-Fi. No Ethernet connection, but it's always nice to have the Ethernet connection. So I threw that out there last week, and boy, did I get a lot of responses. So let's go first to Jason Miller. And this is from Jason. Mike, I've been using the GL-iNet Beryl Wi-Fi 6 router for about 3 years, and it's been extremely reliable. I primarily use it as a portable router for streaming my son's travel baseball games. In that setup, I typically connect 4 cameras to the router, and the router connects to my phone's hotspot over Wi-Fi. I install 1 camera at first, 1 at third, and a backstop camera, and 1 on the first base side as a wide angle shot of the pitcher and batter from the side angle. That is amazing. That is awesome. I love it. It supports tethering via Wi-Fi, USB-C, or Ethernet. When cell service is spotty, I switch to a Starlink Mini and connect it directly via Ethernet. The router has a 2.5 gigabit LAN port and a dedicated WAN port, which gives it a lot of flexibility for different setups. Because it's truly portable, I usually power it from a USB-C battery pack with a 10,000 mAh battery. I consistently get around 12 to 14 hours of runtime, even with multiple devices connected. That makes it ideal for situations where there are no power outlets. It also supports mesh mode if you need to extend coverage, though on its own, the range is already very solid. If portability and flexibility are important, this router has been an excellent solution for me. Jason, that is awesome. And I want to bring up the first link for tonight. And this is the router Jason's talking about. And the link I'm going to have from Amazon. And I mean, it's very tiny, as you can see that. It's Wi-Fi 6, and there's the LAN port. And you're looking at under $100, $98.99. So $99, and that's a great recommendation. Thank you, Jason. I really appreciate it. Not a horrible price, but don't worry. We have a recommendation for one that's under $40. So let's keep going with the recommendations. So the next one is by Robert. And hey, Mike, I am a long time listener and love the show and community. Thank you for all the work you do. I had to write in on this one. I have been looking at travel routers for probably a year, but I've just never pulled the trigger. I looked at several GL-iNet routers, and they look fine, but I think they are a Chinese-based company. Again, not terrible, but I was going to try to see if I could find a domestic-based company. I came across this Asus router, and I like how they approach their router with updates, security first approach, and support for products. Anyway, it's a bit more expensive, but I think this should be in the bucket of options. Again, thanks for everything. Cheers, Robert. I really, really, really appreciate it. And I have the Asus lined up here, and let's take a look at this. This is the Asus. You're looking at $150, and it's up to 3.6 gigs wireless, secure public Wi-Fi, mobile tethering, mesh compatible. Lots of nice features here. And it's next gen Wi-Fi 7. Now that's interesting. If you don't need Wi-Fi 7, you can save a few coins and get a little bit less expensive. It's a powerful mobile hotspot. Transform your smartphone or mobile dongle into a powerful shareable network. And very, very nice recommendation. I like this because it's Asus, and I like Asus routers. Use them a lot for clients and personally. So I want to thank Robert for that. I really appreciate it. And let's keep going. The next one, it's a double recommendation. Two separate people. We got Tim and I got Aaron. So let's start with Tim. And I use the GLI Beryl and Opal models. Opal is $40 on Amazon and Walmart. Both support OpenVPN and WireGuard. Yes, keep that in mind with the routers, making sure does it support all the VPNs that you want to use. Has Ethernet in and out and wireless in and out. Even on Wi-Fi, you still have an Ethernet out. It supports Tailscale and an app library. I've been using these for a couple years for travel and at my cabin so I can VPN back to the house. This is Tim, and I'm also going to read Aaron's email, and then I will show you the router. So this is Aaron. I use the GLINet GLSFT 1200 Opal portable Wi-Fi travel router from Amazon. OpenVPN and WireGuard come pre-installed, and a physical VPN toggle on the device lets you switch the VPN on and off quickly without having to bring up the web GUI. Great little router. Never let me down. Only $40, and in my humble option, no need to have Wi-Fi 7, as you likely not going to get speeds high enough to make it worthwhile anyways. Thanks, Aaron. Aaron, thank you so much. And this is the little guy. And for the price, right now, the link I'm going to have on Amazon is $35, $34.98. This is amazing for the price. And I'm thinking of this one just for the price, just to have it. It's small, it's tiny. You can see the mode switch on the side, and then you have the WAN, the LAN, and a USB 2.0. So very, very nice, and you can't beat it for the price. I mean, $35. That's awesome. So I want to thank Tim and I want to thank Aaron for those recommendations. Now, this was sent to me by Steven, who's always in the chat, but he's not in the chat this moment. So he had to step out. So let me cover this and let me get to Steven's email. Boo, boo, boo. Here we go. Okay. I wanted to add some additional information. I used to use a TP-Link TLWR902AC as a travel router. I replaced it with a GLINet GLAR750S which I recently replaced with a GL iNet GLBE 3600 Slate 7. They make some nice cases for the GLI net routers. I never know what I may need when traveling, which makes it nice to have additional features. Stephen, great show. Thank you so much. And I'm going to have a link to this. And this is probably the most expensive of all of them, but it's going to have the maximum features. And remember, this is Wi-Fi 7, 2.5 gig router, portable VPN. You're looking at $170. So a little, that's a lot more than $35. So take a look at all the features, and then what's your budget? And then look at all the links I'm going to have. So for tonight's show, I'm going to have 4 Amazon links for the 4 routers. And take your time, look at them, look at the features, and then pick the one based on features and budget. And that's what I would do. So you should make a list of all the features you want, and then what's your budget? And then just keep it simple. And that's all you need. So I want to thank everybody. When Kate wrote this, I wrote back and I said, this is a great question. I love the topic. And all of you came through for me and sending me recommendations, which is exactly what I wanted. And all the different various prices. There's an option in here for everyone. And that's what makes it great. So thank you very much. Okay, so this is an interesting add-in, and this is from John Dubinsky. And he says, another link for the show, simple, easy, and quick. And it's weatherincalendar.com with dashes between all the words. You can now, again, get the weather forecast directly into your calendar. This local weather calendar uses emojis to display a 16 days forecast from Open Weather Map. Enter your city, adjust accordingly to your preferences, and make a free calendar. Works for all calendars supporting online ICS and emojis like Google Calendar, Apple Calendar, Outlook. I added it to my Outlook just to test. On iOS, Android, Mac OS, and Windows. Make sure to check the notes or details section of the calendar edition it adds. There are some nice details such as broken clouds, sunrise, the pressure, humidity, wind speed. View full weather report. And he has a link for that for openweathermap.org. Created by Andreas Venio Anderson. If you like this, please consider to support by making any donation or give it an upvote on Product Hunt. Thanks. Hope this is useful. All the best, John. John, thank you so much for all your recommendations. And this, of course, will be in the show notes. And it's get the weather forecast with icons in your calendar. And you just got this button here, and you see it's got Palm Harbor, and you have centigrade and Fahrenheit. So now I clicked it for Fahrenheit, and you can see it's 80 degrees. And actually, it's funny how it's reading me from Palm Harbor, but it's really Oldsmar. There we go, which is the same. It's very close. Just great. Just click add, and you can add it to your calendar. So an interesting add-in. Don't know if it's what you need, but John, again, thank you. He always has interesting links and interesting comments, and remember all of his great DNS advice. So, John, thank you for continuing to contribute to the show. Really, really appreciate it. Okay, so now I want to discuss a problem that I am working on right now. And I am literally monitoring this as we speak for a client. And he wrote me earlier in the week. He was doing, his Windows updates, and he got a message, and the message reads, updates failed. This is a Windows 11 Pro. The updates failed, and it was a security update. And it gives an install error. And when you click retry, it doesn't work. But now he also gets this yellow highlighted option recommending reinstall your current version of Windows to repair system files and components. And then there's a reinstall now button to click. This is new recently for Microsoft. And there was another option, I think a couple shows ago, that I ran into and I brought up. I wanted to bring this up because I was also talking to Marv today and mentioned this, and he has seen this. So it's starting to, if Microsoft sees a problem, they're recommending the reinstall. This is like a Windows Update Assistant, and it's supposed to keep your files, keep your programs, but I don't trust anything. So what I am doing now is I made a list of all the things to do to repair a Windows update. And one of the first things you do is dism. And I got /online/ cleanup image and then a /scan health. There's 3. You have scan health, check health, and restore health. Now, after that's done, and that took a little bit, that took about 45 minutes today as I started running them at a elevated command prompt. Then I'm now doing an SFC/scan now. The problem is it's been 3 hours and it's only at 35%. I've never seen an SFC scan now take that long. So I'm going to see after the show, where is it at? And so here's my plan for this. So I still don't know the end result, but I'm not going to just click to refresh the operating system without trying these things first. So I'm doing this, then I'm going to reboot, and I'm going to see, do I get the same message? If we do, now there's to reset Windows Update components. And I'm going to try to find a link for this. There should be links. First, you have to net stop the WUAU SERV service. You got to stop the bit service. You have to net stop the crypt service, CRYPTSVC. And then you have to stop the app id service, so app ID SVC. Now, you rename the caches. This is where you go rename the software distribution.old. So you take software distribution directory and change that to software distribution.old, rename it. Then in the system32 directory of Windows, you have the cat root 2. Rename to catroot2.old. You've now completely reset Windows Update settings. Now you reboot and see if I still get that error tonight. After that, he plugged in an external drive. I'm going to make sure I do a full system image of the system, and then he can click that. So you got to make sure you have a backup. And he uses OneDrive. I know it syncs all of his files, but I put this to my client. And I said, well, I want to know, what if that Windows update fails and it messes everything up and you lose everything? Is that okay? Can we lose everything? And of course, that's not okay. It's never okay. You have a client that says it's okay. Phew, man, something's wrong. So everything. So I said, you got a hard drive laying around? Because I said, we ran into this with another system. It's something a little different. And it was before I think Dell was coming on site to do something with the motherboard. I said, let's get a backup of everything. Let's get a system image. So I'm going to use the old Windows 7 in the control panel and get a clean system image. And just in case things go terribly wrong, then we can rebuild everything fairly quickly. You know, you just got to make sure you have a USB stick with Windows 11, and you boot and go into the troubleshooting and restore from a system image and have your external drive plugged in. So very simple, and let's see what happens. And I will update you next week, because what's interesting is they went right to refreshing the operating system, and that scares me. I never want to do that unless we prepare. So I'm going to try to find a link for resetting the Windows Update components, but you could Google that. How do you reset the Windows Update components? And you're going to get exactly what I just mentioned. Now, the other stuff is just standard servicing repair. So from an elevated command prompt or from PowerShell, you can run, the dism and the SFC. All right. Let's see. Marius from the chat. Never managed to fix a Windows that won't update. It always ends with an OS reinstall. Marius, that's very interesting, because I have fixed updates. By executing that reset Windows update has actually fixed some updates. I will say this. I don't have a high opinion of SFC. Everybody always recommends that. Anytime you Google or research, it says, do the SFC scan now. I've never seen that fix a problem for me. So just as you've never been able to fix a Windows update issue, I have never seen SFC fix an issue. So I might abandon that if it's just taken too long, and we'll see what happens. So I will keep you posted on that. And I think that's it for tonight's show. So we have the Windows updates issue that I just discussed, and the problem, and the possible fixes we're going to see. Then we have the add-in for Outlook for the weather. It adds a whole separate calendar, if that's something that might interest you, or a client, or someone you know. And then 4 routers, portable routers at various prices, going from $40 to $170, and all with various features. Check them out. That's a nice range, so you can see if that fits what you might need for your travel requirements. That is it. I want to thank everybody for emailing me, supporting the show. I really appreciate it. You can always email me, miketechshow@gmail.com. Don't forget the video is always at youtube.com/MichaelSmithMTS. Remember the main website, miketechshow.com. If you like what you hear, if something has helped you, you want to support the show, click on the donate button. I really appreciate it. Thank you all. See you next week. Same time, same channel. Bye-bye.